Well, Peyton, man, today is a big day. You know, it's actually my birthday. I can't believe it.
Birthday? I was going to go Groundhog's Day, but I'm actually glad that you said that because I got you a special present on your day of birth.
You didn't have to.
Yeah, some cupcakes for you. Those are for you.
Oh, dude, the seal's broken on them.
Yeah,
And
that's klutzy.
there's like a bunch of these are already missing, like 6 or 7. Someone ate them.
Got a little hungry, sorry, but you know what? Those are the good cupcakes. The 6 should be enough for you.
But they're good cupcakes? What do you consider $4.39 good cupcakes?
I only had $5.
Where did you buy these?
A homeless man? Would you believe a homeless man on the street?
But, oh my,
Yeah.
I think,
But he had a cardboard sign saying "Best in Town," and I wasn't about to call him a liar.
best in town.
Best in Town.
Well, I mean, it's worth a shot. It's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah, you should maybe wash your hands before and after eating those. Actually, just don't eat those at all. He looked quite sketchy. Let's start the show.
Hey, don't turn that dial. Don't turn it.
This is on the internet.
Okay,
There's no dial.
don't hack us.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't
Please
do that.
do that. Don't do that. Yeah, let's just like not do that at all. But what you can do is, listen to us. I'm Christopher Gates.
I'm Peyton Fretwell. This has been a great opening to our show.
Yes,
Not
it
awkward
is.
at all.
It's not that awkward. But you know what's not awkward? The news that we got to tell the people today.
Yes, we do. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, including Aquaman, so some of the summer blockbusters, and some upcoming releases.
Yes. So we'll get on the docket first. You want to talk about Aquaman?
Yes, we'll talk about Aquaman first. If the Hollywood Reporter or Variety or I don't know, we don't check sources around here.
IGN, all of them. They're good sources, trust me.
Sources are coming out that they have confirmed who the main villain for the movie Aquaman will be, and Jason Momoa, as we all know, who's from Game of Thrones and Red Road, a lot of awesome television series, making his big debut in movies. Well, not his debut, he wasn't Conan, but I mean, who watched that? So
Not until you just told me.
he's coming to the movies as Aquaman. Aquaman, of course, one of the Justice League members. So going to be a huge movie. They confirmed that his main villain will be the main villain from the comic books, Black Manta.
Yes, this is actually pretty big that they're actually going with Black Manta, because to be honest with you, besides Black Manta, it's the only Aquaman villain that I can think of.
Other than his brother.
His brother, yeah, thank you. I was about to say that because that's when he had a hook for a while. But
Yeah.
real comic fans. But no, that's actually pretty good. They're going big. Black Manta is, and he's not just a big Aquaman villain. He's actually part of that the League of Doom and
the Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom. I don't know
Meanwhile,
the Legion of Doom. He's dealt with another Justice League members before, so I like that direction that they're going with. I love Jason Momoa's Aquaman, so I can only imagine what Black Manta is going to be like. Just probably as awesome as Aquaman has looked so far.
And I was glad to hear that they were going with Black Manta right off the bat, because for those who don't know and don't read a lot of comic books, Black Manta is kind of the arch nemesis to Aquaman. He's kind of the big cheese as far as Aquaman villains goes. And I didn't know they were going to go with this villain right off the bat for his first film. I figured they were going to go with a more smaller villain to see how Aquaman plays out in the box office, and then if it warrants a sequel, then maybe go with Black Manta after Aquaman's kind of got a name for himself. I still think a lot of people are going to come out and see this movie, at least if Justice League does well, and Wonder Woman does well, and we start to get kind of a train moving with these DC movies, I think. But that's a big if, seeing how Batman vs. Superman did, and Suicide Squad not being well received with critics and stuff.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how much of an audience will be there for Black Manta to really show his colors in Aquaman, especially for people who don't read the comic books.
You're absolutely right about that. That's a big task they have to take on. Like you said, for those who are not familiar with the Aquaman comic books, how much of this character can they really, take away from his Justice League movie? That's going to be his biggest performance that he got coming up. That's when that comes out next November.
And the bad thing is if this movie, like a lot of the DC movies have been recently, turns out to be a bomb, then you've wasted a giant villain, not only in Aquaman, in Aquaman's rogue gallery, but the DC rogue gallery as a whole. Black Manta is probably, as far as comic book readers go, Black Manta is probably one of the more recognizable villains. So if this movie comes out and it doesn't fare well at the box office, or critically gets really panned and doesn't receive the box office numbers in turn, then you wasted this giant character and then you have to go down into the B, C villains.
You do.
Which can sometimes be okay. It's worked for Marvel, but it will really bum out the loyal Aquaman fans like myself and yourself that really grew up being scared of Black Manta. He's really just kind of and also for those who don't know, Black Manta's kind of has a lot of the same powers as Aquaman.
Yeah, and he has a cool costume. I love
He has a really cool costume. We've been showing it already at this point. I'm sure we'll have some photos.
Oh yeah, you can see it right there. Look at that. I wish I had an animation of him just swimming around.
That'd be great. And
not the budget.
They show Black Manta, I think, in a lot of the DC animated movies. If you want to freshen yourself up before the movie. And speaking of Aquaman, I'm really excited about this movie having Black Manta because James Wan is directing this. James Wan just came out with The Conjuring 2, which was really good and dark and twisted. And one thing I know about Black Manta is that he's a really dark and twisted character. So I'm going to be really excited to see what directions he takes this character.
You bring up a good point because the Justice League movie is being directed by Zack Snyder, so it's up in the air how that movie's going to go. What they showed at Comic-Con and what we talked about in previous episodes got us both excited, but with the different directions, different directors going with different directions, if you may not like Aquaman in the Justice League movie, don't lose hope because you have other directors that are going to be embracing these characters and making them a lot better. You know, you have Patty Jenkins doing the Wonder Woman movie that comes out next July. You know, she's going to be a lot different than what we've seen from her, just a little bit that we've seen in her in Batman v Superman. And so that in itself can really work to the advantage of these characters and these different directors.
I agree with you. And another thing you have to take away is that for directors, it's a lot easier to do these solo superhero films because it's easier to make the story smaller and more refined and about characters. The problem you have with some of these superhero team-up movies are that there's so many characters at once, it's hard to focus in on key plot points and really hard to really go into a character's motivations and character development arcs and stuff. It's hard to do all that when you have so many mouths to feed, as it were. But with these solo films, you can really go into how the sausage is made and really delve into the psyche of some of these heroes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, that all is going to be done over the next couple of years.
And my point for that being that just because, if you don't like Aquaman's Justice League in Justice League, come back, check him out in his solo movie because you might get a better design of the character in that movie.
Know, those who saw Suicide Squad, one thing I've actually read some people talk about was how Batman in that movie is completely different from the Batman from Batman v Superman. And a lot of that has to do with the events that led up to Batman v Superman and Batman being who he is. And some people actually kind of like that Batman, he's not as brutal and as dark. He's still Batman, but he just has a different tone going in that movie. His Bruce Wayne and his Batman. So like you said, different directors to do a different take on these characters. So that's something to look forward to, especially with this Aquaman movie.